Have you ever come home and found your dog already sitting by the front door? Not after hearing your key, not after hearing your footsteps, already there, waiting, watching, almost as if they somehow knew you were coming. It's one of those little mysteries that dog owners experience all the time. And yet, most people never stop to think about it. Because from a human perspective, it doesn't make much sense. Your dog doesn't own a watch. They don't check the time. They don't track your location. They don't know what traffic is. And they certainly don't have access to your calendar. So, how do they know? Why do so many dogs seem to appear at the door minutes before their owners arrive home? Coincidence? Luck? Or something much deeper? To understand the answer, we need to stop thinking like humans for a moment and start seeing the world through the eyes of a dog. Imagine an ordinary morning. Your alarm goes off. You stretch, check your phone, get dressed, grab your coffee, pick up your keys. For you, it's just another day, another routine, another trip to work. But for your dog, something important is happening. The person they care about most is about to leave. And dogs notice these things long before we realize they do. The sound of your shoes, the movement of your jacket, the jingling of your keys, the way you move differently when you're preparing to leave. To most people, these details seem meaningless. To your dog, they're clues, powerful clues, because dogs spend their lives studying us. Not because they're trying to be clever, not because they're trying to solve puzzles, because understanding us helps them feel connected to us. Think about it. If you spent years with the same person every single day, you would start noticing patterns too. You would know when they're happy. You would know when they're tired. You would know when they're stressed. You would know their routines almost without thinking. That's exactly what your dog does. Every day, every week, every year, little by little, they become experts on you. They learn the rhythm of your life. And once they learn that rhythm, they become surprisingly good at predicting what comes next. That's why your dog often knows you're leaving before you've even reached the door. And it's also why they sometimes know you're coming home before you've arrived. But the story doesn't end there, because waiting by the door isn't just about observation. It's about emotion. When you leave the house, your dog experiences something very different from what you experience. You leave and enter another world. Work, friends, meetings, responsibilities, distractions. Hours pass quickly. Your attention shifts constantly. But your dog's day moves differently. The house becomes quieter. The sounds become fewer. The excitement slows down. And suddenly, the person who makes up the biggest part of their world is gone. Not forever, just temporarily. But dogs don't always understand temporary the way humans do. What they understand is absence. The missing sound of your footsteps. The missing sound of your voice. The missing feeling of your presence. And that's why many dogs spend time near the front door after their owners leave. The door becomes important, not because it's a piece of wood, not because it's an entrance, because it's connected to something emotional. The door is where you disappeared, and the door is where you always return. Imagine how many memories your dog has connected to that spot. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Every morning, you leave. Every evening you come back. Every reunion, every happy greeting, every moment of excitement, stored inside your dog's memory, again and again, year after year. Eventually, the front door becomes much more than a door. It becomes a symbol, a place of hope, a place of anticipation, a place where wonderful things happen. Because every time the door opens, there's a chance their favorite person is standing on the other side. And that possibility matters a lot. Now here's where things become fascinating. Many dogs don't simply wait. They listen, constantly. The distant sound of cars, footsteps outside, voices in the neighborhood, doors opening, doors closing. Dogs experience the world through their senses in a way humans often can't imagine. Their hearing is more sensitive. Their sense of smell is dramatically stronger. And because of that, they notice things long before we do. Some researchers believe dogs can recognize subtle environmental patterns connected to their owner's return. The sound of a familiar vehicle, the routine activity of a neighborhood, the timing of daily events. Tiny details that humans completely ignore. To us, these signals are invisible. To a dog, they're meaningful information. And every day, those signals begin to form a story. A story that usually ends the same way. You're coming home. That's why some dogs start moving toward the door before their owners arrive. Not because they're psychic, not because they're magical, because they're observant, because they've spent years learning, because they've become experts in one thing, you, and perhaps that's one of the most beautiful parts of being loved by a dog. Your dog pays attention to you in a way very few people ever will. They notice your routines, your moods, your habits, your energy, even the little things you don't notice about yourself. But there's one final reason dogs wait at the door, and it may be the most important reason of all. Love. Simple love. Because every goodbye creates anticipation, and every reunion creates joy. Your dog doesn't wait by the door because they enjoy waiting. They wait because they believe. They believe you'll come back. They trust you completely every single time you leave. Every single time the door closes. Every single time the house becomes quiet. They hold on to the same expectation. You're coming home. And when you finally do, when the key turns, when the lock clicks, when the door begins to open, something incredible happens. Their entire world returns at once. The waiting ends. The excitement explodes. The tail starts wagging. The eyes light up. And for a few beautiful seconds, nothing else matters. Not toys, not food, not treats. Just you. Because in your dog's heart, you were never just someone who lives in the house. You were always the reason the house felt like home. You were always the reason the house felt like home. And perhaps that's why waiting at the door means so much more than most people realize. Because when we look at a dog sitting near the entrance, we often see a behavior, a beat, a routine. But dogs rarely experience the world the way humans do. To them, many of the things we call habits are actually emotions. The front door isn't just a location. It's a memory. It's a feeling. It's a symbol connected to one of the most important events in their day. Your return. Think about it. Every morning, you leave. Every evening, you come back. Over and over again. Year after year. Thousands of repetitions. Thousands of reunions. Thousands of moments where the same story unfolds. The door opens, and the person they love most appears. Imagine how powerful that becomes inside a dog's mind. Every joyful greeting, every tail wag, every excited bark, every moment of relief gets attached to that doorway, until eventually, the door itself becomes associated with happiness. Not because dogs understand architecture, because dogs understand emotions, and emotions create memories. That's one reason dogs often return to the door throughout the day. Not because they're confused, not because they're counting minutes, because part of them remains connected to the place where good things happen. The place where you return. The place where life becomes exciting again. And perhaps the most remarkable part is that your dog never seems to get tired of it. Humans become accustomed to things. The first day at a new job feels exciting. A year later, it feels normal. The first time you drive a new car feels special. A few months later, it's routine. That's how human brains work. We adapt. We normalize. We move on. Dogs are different. For many dogs, your return remains exciting, no matter how many times it happens. The 1000th reunion can still feel almost as joyful as the first. And that's one of the reasons people often describe dogs as pure. Not because they are perfect, but because they remain connected to simple joys. The joy of seeing someone they love. The joy of being together. The joy of knowing their favorite human is safe. And maybe that's another reason dogs wait at the door. Not only because they miss you, but because your return removes uncertainty. Imagine a world where you couldn't call someone, couldn't text them, couldn't check their location, couldn't know exactly when they'd be back. That's the world your dog lives in. When you leave, they don't know whether you'll be gone for 30 minutes, 3 hours, or longer. They simply wait, trusting, believing, hoping. And every time you return, their trust is rewarded. Every reunion teaches the same lesson. My person came back, again, and again, and again. That repeated experience creates something powerful: security. Your dog begins to believe that no matter what happens, you will return. Not because someone explained it, because life has shown them thousands of times. That's why trust is one of the deepest emotions in the relationship between dogs and humans. Your dog trusts you with everything: their comfort, their safety, their happiness, their future, and perhaps most importantly, their heart. Now let's imagine something. Imagine your dog could speak, not for an hour, not for a day, just for 60 seconds. What would they say when you walk through that door? Would they complain? Would they tell you how long you were gone? Would they talk about the squirrel they saw outside? Probably not. Instead, they would likely focus on something much simpler, something much more meaningful. They would probably say, "You're home. That's all. You're home. And that's enough." Because in many ways, that's what their excitement is already saying. Every jump, every tail wag, every happy spin, every joyful bark, it's all expressing the same message. I missed you. I'm happy you're here. Life feels better now. Humans spend years searching for complicated definitions of happiness. Dogs often find it in a single moment: a familiar face, a familiar voice, a familiar presence walking through a familiar door. And maybe that's why dogs teach us lessons we didn't know we needed. They remind us to appreciate what we already have, to celebrate people we love, to stop taking ordinary moments for granted. Because to your dog, those ordinary moments are extraordinary. A walk around the block, a quiet evening together, a few minutes sitting on the couch, a hand resting gently on their head. Those moments matter far more than we realize. And then one day, time begins to leave its mark. The puppy, who used to race toward the door, becomes calmer. The dog who used to leap into your arms begins moving more slowly. Gray fur appears around the muzzle. The eyes become older, softer, wiser. Yet something remarkable remains unchanged. They still wait, maybe not with the same speed, maybe not with the same energy, but with the same love. And that's when many dog owners experience a powerful realization. The waiting was never really about the door. It was always about the relationship, the connection, the bond built over years of shared experiences, the bond built through trust, the bond built through showing up for each other every day. Because while your dog was waiting at the door, something else was happening too. They were building a lifetime of memories, memories connected to you. And one day, you may find yourself looking back at those moments. The greetings, the tail wags, the excited footsteps running across the floor. And you'll realize something important. Those moments were never small. They felt ordinary at the time, but they weren't. They were pieces of a relationship that made life richer, warmer, better. Which brings us to the real secret behind why dogs wait at the door. It's not because they're calculating. It's not because they're keeping track of time. It's not because they're obsessed with routines. It's because they love. And love always looks forward to reunion. Love waits. Love hopes. Love believes. And every day, your dog proves that, without speaking a single word. So the next time you come home, pause before rushing past them. Take a moment. Look into those eyes. Notice the excitement. Notice the relief. Notice the trust. Because you're witnessing one of the purest expressions of love you'll ever experience. A heart that never stopped believing you would come back. If this story reminded you of your own dog, leave the word heart in the comments and tell us your dog's name. We love reading your stories, and every name reminds us that behind every front door, there's a dog waiting for someone they love. And if you enjoy stories that help you understand what may be happening inside your dog's mind, be sure to subscribe to DogMind Tales, because every behavior has meaning, every glance tells a story, and every loyal dog has a voice worth listening to. And remember this, one day you may wish you had one more greeting at the door, one more excited tail wag, one more joyful reunion. So don't wait for tomorrow. Enjoy today's reunion, because to your dog, it might be the best moment of the entire day. And that's a beautiful thing. We'll see you in the next story.